On a September morning in 1989, a 3-year-old girl stood up in the backseat of a car outside a small Queensland shop. That is the last confirmed sighting of her ever. Her killer confessed within days, and there's still no body. He spent over 3 decades in prison, and in 2023, he told parole board he'd started having dreams about where he left her body. Her name was Kelly Ann Jones. She has never been found, and this is her story and her mother's 34-year fight for the one thing the courts could never give her, her daughter back. Welcome back to my channels. Today's case is another Missing in Minutes, where we cover missing persons cases that don't seem to have a lot of information, but absolutely deserve to have their stories told. If you are new here, welcome. I upload a Missing in Minutes case every Wednesday, a full deep dive video every Sunday. If you enjoy true crime, especially Australian true crime, missing persons cases, and unsolved mysteries, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Now let's get into today's case. Late September 1989, Toowoomba on Queensland's Darling Downs was in the middle of its biggest event of the year, the Carnival of Flowers. Families were in town, streets were full, and out at Hampton, a small community north of the city, 3-year-old Kelly Ann Jones was staying with her aunt, Susanna Jones, and her cousin. A man had been coming around the house that week, a friend of her aunt's, Susanna's. His name was John William Bennett. He wasn't a stranger to the family. He was someone who'd been in and out of that home, someone the adults trusted around Kelly and had no particular reason to fear him. On the morning of September 24th, Kelly was seen standing up in the backseat of Bennett's car, near a shop close to her Hampton house. It was 8:30 a.m., and that is the last time anyone reported seeing her alive. It didn't take long for people to realize that something was very wrong. Both Kelly and Bennett were missing, and because he'd been the last person with any contact with her, the search effort turned around towards finding him. 2 days later, police found Bennett asleep by the side of a road near his car out at Kuya, and according to the court reporting, he was lying on top of a knife. In interview with Toowoomba detectives, he confessed almost immediately. He told them he killed her because she wouldn't let up and had annoyed him. He said he'd put a hand over her mouth because she was crying. Caroline Jones, Kelly's mother, would later say she doesn't fully believe that account. What Bennett told police next is the part of this case that has defined the last 34 years. He said he'd left Kelly's body in a Hessian bag at a rubbish dump. But he also claimed his memory of exactly where was poor because he'd been intoxicated at the time. Bennett took police and around 160 volunteers out to the area where he believed he'd dumped Kelly's body. He couldn't identify the exact spot. At his sentencing, prosecutors produced a map he'd drawn himself, pointing to the Yarraman tip as the likely location. There was even a reported sighting of witnesses who said they'd seen Bennett's car about 11 kilometers north of Yarraman the Monday after Kelly went missing. So investigators excavated the Yarraman dump, and what they learned made the search almost certainly futile from the start. Rubbish at the tip was burned off every Monday. If Kelly's body had been left there, it's likely it was destroyed within days of her death. Bennett pleaded guilty to her murder in the Toowoomba Supreme Court. Justice Paul de Jersey sentenced him him to life imprisonment with hard labor, calling the killing senseless and brutal, and telling Bennett directly that he denied Kelly the very right to life he continued to enjoy himself. For most true crime cases, sentencing is where the story quietens down, but for Caroline Jones, it's where a different kind of ordeal began. Queensland has what's known as no body, no parole legislation, laws that make it much harder for an offender to be released if they haven't helped authorities locate a victim's remains. For over 3 decades, that law was effectively the only thing standing between Bennett and freedom, because he never gave police that location that led anywhere. Caroline Jones has spent over 34 years with no remains to bury, just photographs, memories, and a plaque at Worrell Cemetery Park, standing in for a grave. In 2022, because of declining health and multiple health conditions, Bennett applied for parole under special circumstances, asking the board to waive the no-body clause entirely. At the March 2023 hearing in Brisbane, Bennett's lawyer told the parole board something Caroline Jones says she heard for the first time that day in that room. Bennett claimed that around 2020, roughly 30 years after the murder, he'd started having reoccurring dreams pointing to a possible new location, Mama Creek, near Toowoomba. He reportedly believed the dreams were helping restore his memory. Homicide detectives followed it up anyway. They showed him a 1988 satellite image of the area. He couldn't identify specific features. Detective Inspector Chris Knight, who prepared a report for the hearing, told the board he wasn't satisfied. The Mama Creek claim couldn't be given any real weight, and said he couldn't see how the information Bennett had provided could be considered significant or useful at all. Bennett's own barrister concluded there was a little geographic overlap between Mama Creek area and the areas searched back in 1989. Caroline Jones was blunt about what she thinks of it. She says she doesn't believe anything Bennett tells her, that whatever happens, authorities can't stop searching until Kelly is found. The hearing was adjourned for written submissions. More than 600 people signed a petition opposing Bennett's release. As of this hearing, the Queensland Parole Board's final determination on whether Bennett has satisfactorily cooperated was still pending. What makes this case so hard to sit with isn't just the murder, it's the decades afterwards. A 3-year-old girl was taken from a family gathering during one of Toowoomba's biggest community celebrations, and the one piece of information that could have given her mother closure has been withheld, deliberately or not, for 34 years and counting. If Kellyanne Jones is ever found, it won't be because the system moved quickly. It'll be because one mother refused to stop asking. If this case has affected you and you'd like to see genuine closure for Caroline Jones and her family, I'll leave information for Crime Stoppers down below. You can leave anonymous tips. If you made it this far, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this case and remembering Kellyanne Jones. These cases are about real people, real families, and lives that deserve to be remembered. If you found this video informative, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help support my channel and, more importantly, helps support these cases and brings them back into the public eye. Anyway, that is all from me today. So again, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.